Some exciting news was just revealed last few days in that the new set, Edge of Eternities, appears to have a 54 card bonus sheet. Many people are speculating that this is probably a land theme bonus sheet. I don't fully know the reasons, but that's the theory that everyone seems to be going with. So I trust the public, which I know is not something you should do too carelessly, but this is just for fun. I'll do it now. So what I've partaken in is collecting 54 unique lands, not on the reserved list, so they can realistically print this, that I think would be awesome to have on Arena that are not on Arena right now. Alright, so I guess this is my little wish list for cards I like to see on the bonus sheet, and let's get straight into it. First category, bounce lands. Just 10 of these right off the bat. They see play in Modern. There are some stuff you can do with it that isn't just Amulet of Vigor shenanigans. You know, it's a pretty darn good budget land, right? It enters and it draws you a card in quotation marks. Just a nice deck building tool that would be great to have on the client. A little bit of spoiler there. Hideaway lands. Hideaway lands are interesting. There is about nothing like it. I guess we can quickly go through the ones that see most play. Shield Like Isle, that is a mill card that would improve mill. Mill is kind of terrible in both Historic and Timeless, so that's not going to be an issue too much. Mosswort Breach, you have to have creatures with power 10 or greater. Doubt it would see play, but you know, fun to have. Windburst Kites, this is the other one that sees modern play, so this would be like in a collector's cage, kind of go wide, trying to cast Emrakul off it. We do not have 15-man Emrakul. We have plenty of other big spells that we got at least 13-man Emrakul. So you can definitely cast some scary stuff off this. However, it is shown to be perfectly fine for Modern, so I have no reason to believe it would be too much of anything for even Historic. Yeah, the rest are just whatever, but I added them because I already added 2. Might as well finish the cycle. We're already at 15. Alright, here are some cards, or some lands, that I like to add that I think would be too powerful for Historic, so I'm envisioning that these would be the cards that are pre-banned for Historic, but I think they could be great for Timeless. So starting off, Dark Depths. There is just not a lands deck, period. There's no Elvish Reclaimers, Fiend Artisans, none of that stuff going around. This could really help those archetypes, and I think it would be really awesome if those archetypes could exist, because right now it's kind of... With the introduction of Chrome Locks, which hopefully they have Force of Negation soon, that's kind of a side thing. Force of Negation is not a land, so it ain't coming with this, unless if it's not a lands and not a lands bonus sheet. Yeah, I don't think there's a single person alive who would say that Maverick is unhealthy for the format. Eldrazi Temple. Now, pre-MH3, I would have absolutely said let this be legal in Historic. However, I've seen what Eldrazi has done to Modern. I've played against the card Kozilek's Command when my opponent has Eldrazi Temple. It is gross, it is disgusting, I want to relegate it to the most powerful format on Arena. Do not want that in Historic. Gemstone Caverns is actually a lot closer to being fine for Historic than you maybe think initially if you've never played with or against the card before. Has that kind of alchemy feel where it benefits the person going second. It is mana acceleration, and Historic is pretty steadfast in that philosophy rule, although they allowed Ugin's Labyrinth for whatever reason. Yeah, that remains an enigma, but yeah, so what would Gemstone Caverns actually help in Historic? I think it would be really good in basically all the combo decks, and you know what, if they want to trade on Historic, sure, although I envision that, you know, just for philosophical reasons, it can stay in Timeless alone. Karakas. If you're playing legendary creatures, your opponent's Karakas, this card is super toxic. However, if you're playing a format that is Timeless power level and you're expecting that kind of toxicity, it's actually kind of fun. If you go in with the expectations that you're going to play against Karakas and your opponent has Karakas, the gameplay is actually not too bad at all. You can even bounce your own legendaries with Karakas, which gets really fun, and that should not be too good for Timeless. Remember, this is the Necropotence Chromox format. Rashad and Port. This is probably fine in Historic, however, I've heard a lot of people make remarks about this being too annoying for the Historic casual player base. I don't care too much. I'm inclined to just give it to them. I would like to see this in Historic, though. Again, it helps those kinds of Death and Taxes, Maverick, land style decks, which are awesome and are dead. Urza Saga, arguably the most powerful card in Modern right now. It would be too good for Historic as much as I do love it, its design, its play patterns, everything. But hey, Timeless is the perfect place for it. Let's get on. A unique thing about Urza Saga compared to many of these lands is that it actively produces very engaging play patterns. I may not think that off the bat, but if you just go through your mind of all the counterplay options for Urza Saga, and how playing Urza Saga naturally makes you commit more to combat, makes the combat step more relevant. It also has that toolbox aspect, which some people may think is broken, but being able to main deck a Soul Guide Lantern and go fetch a Haywire Mite or whatnot, I think those are healthy play patterns as well. So a surprisingly interactive card, and I think it would massively benefit the formats for which it can support its power level. The Urza lands, bro, I hate Tron. I hate Tron so much, but I can't honestly say that it'd be too good for Historic with everything that's going on right now. So yeah, I just had him. Also had Urza's Workshop, and this helps differentiate the Tron decks on Arena formats from the Tron decks in Modern formats. Modern does not have access to this card. It's not even really that good of a card. It's just a card that synergizes with the Urza lands. So you would play it, it wouldn't be broken, and it doesn't see play anywhere else, which, hey, that's perfectly fine. Alright, now this is the big boy category. This is where I kind of just stopped trying to categorize them and just barfed them onto this category named various. I put a Z in front such that it would appear last because these are sorted by alphabetical order. Yeah, well, let's start with the letter A, shall we? Academy Runes. Card is legal Modern. It does nothing in terms of play patterns. I think it would be a really fun one of in some random artifact decks. It's not card advantage. You keep reading or putting back some artifacts, perhaps artifacts that sacrifice themselves. So you put them back. I kind of am just reading what the card is doing, but the gist is it's not broken and there's some fun to be out there. But Seiju Shelters All, an extremely unique land, so its coolness factor is already enough to get it onto Arena. In terms of what this can help, well, we don't really have a deck that it can help, which is why I'm very inclined to add it to Arena. My one hesitancy is this may actually be a problem for Timeless, because you can play this to make your show and tells uncounterable, but that format has... Yeah, that format is just... If you've played the format, you know, it's... Bleh. But Station Shelters All ain't gonna make it significantly worse, so might as well. If you need to, just restrict show and tell, right? Don't restrict Station Shelters All, that'd be kind of silly. Cabal Coffers. Well, we have Urborg, we don't have Coffers, we don't have any kind of mono black decks going around. Maybe this can help bring some mono black decks into the format. We don't have any Karn decks going around. Karn's a very annoying card, but no Karn decks means that we don't really have any big mana decks. I take that back, actually. Mono Green Devotion does play Karn, but Mono Black would be completely separate from that. There'd be 0 overlapping cards. The playstyles would be different. Mono Black tends to play a lot more removal, so it'd be a much more mid-range game versus Mono Green, which is just barfing onto the board. I think it could introduce some cool decks. City of Brass, we have Mana Confluence, which does nothing. Kind of. It does a little bit of things. So it's not broken, and it's just a nice toolbox card, right? I have several times wanted another Mana Confluence in, like, say, when I'm building Kethis combo, when I'm building Magna Changelings, any of these 5-color decks, where it's like, maybe like some kind of Dredge. I've tried a 4-color Madness. I really would like to play the first City of Brass, so it'd be nice to have an Arena. Drown Temple, this is probably the only card on the list that is specifically for the Explorer format, however it can do things in other formats. The main reason I put it here is because Explorer does not have Flagstones of Trocare, and Drown Temple does a somewhat okay impression, so any land style decks that you want to build an Explorer, Drown Temple can be useful for that, especially if you're playing Elvish Reclaimer. Again, nice deck building tool to have there on the floor, or on the client, pardon me. Dryad Arbor, probably the most unique land ever printed. Just a creature. We don't have Green Sun Zenith, so that's not going to be an issue. Our cheapest creature tutors cost 2 mana, so you'd be paying 2 mana for a Dryad Arbor. That's perfectly fine. Nothing else is really of concern with Dryad Arbor. It can hopefully slightly buff some Soul Cauldron decks. Possibly, maybe, I don't know. Like, Dryad Arbor in your hand's pretty bad. Are you playing for it just to like kind of tutor out with your fetch land when you want something to cauldron onto? Probably not, so it'd be fine, and it's the most unique land ever printed, so yeah. Bring it. Amaria the Skyrune. I think this could introduce some very cool long game mid-range decks. Not completely overwhelming, over the top, like up the beanstalk style, but just, you know, you play your Mole Drifter, or Null Drifter, not Null Drifters, Mole Drifters. Yeah. You'd play your Evoke creatures, at least this is what happened with Modern, like a year or two back. I don't know, you play 7 planes, you play this, you slowly recur your value creatures, or just whatever. Not broken. Awesome. I'm going to be saying not broken for basically all these, so from here on out I won't, just take that as implied. Now, with all these powerful lands, I figured that they probably should add something that can help deal with them. Strip Mine, horribly broken, don't want that. Also Toxic Play Patterns, even hits basics. Wasteland's a little more on the cusp for a timeless only consideration, but again, if you've played Legacy, Wasteland is just, if it wasn't a format pillar, it wouldn't be in the format. The play patterns are not great, even though it does help keep a lot of stuff in check. And keep in mind, we don't have Ancient Tomb, we don't have Gaia's Cradle, we don't have the utmost broken lands. The most broken land we'd have would be like Urza Saga. I guess Dark Depths would be the most broken card, or most broken land we have. But besides that, nothing that requires full power Wasteland. So that's why I try Encroaching Waste. I don't think this card would even be good. I just think it would be something to consider if you're trying to fight these type of decks. Flagstones of Trocare. Well, if we want Elvish Reclaimer to be a good card, we kind of need this. That's about all to say there, because maybe some Lotus Field, Blood Sun decks can come about from this. Maybe some Cleansing Wildfire decks. Yeah. Forsaken City. Now, some of the lands here I did get from analyzing the pre-modern metagame, because pre-modern is home to some of the coolest, most awesome strategies known to man. And this is a land that sees play there. It is unique. It sees play in conjunction with Stasis. Yeah, this is the one that sees play with Stasis, right? Yeah. We don't have Stasis. I just kind of threw it on here because it was a unique effect. I don't know. Y'all can see what to do with that. I'm kind of stumped. But cards that leave you stumped, that make you think that's the kind of stuff we want to add. Glimmer Void. Again, I've tried building 5-color artifacts. I really want a Glimmer Void. Glimmer Void is almost a bad card, but it's a necessary card for these 4 5-color artifact decks, so bring it. Hall of Heliod's Generosity. The main place this card has seen play in past formats was, say, a blue-white control deck where you play Shark Typhoon and you put this back on top of your deck every turn, and sometimes you can loop a Dress Down. We don't have Dress Down, we do have Shark Typhoon. I think Shark Typhoon, Hall of Heliod's Generosity sounds sweet. It sounds like a perfectly healthy play pattern. By no means is it kind of a snowball effect. Just, yeah. I'm going to be having this exact same reaction to basically all these cards. Horizon Canopy, I believe we got the 5 others in an anthology. We're just missing the green-white one, so add it. Yeah. Core Haven. Actual Factual Maze of Ith is a little toxic. This is a fixed Maze of Ith, so it would still be a nice tutor target for your Knight of the Reliquaries. It just wouldn't be so darn cost effective. Manamo, now I decided against implementing the entire cycle of this. I remember 2 years ago I did something similar. I tried to design a lands anthology and I added the whole cycle, and that was mostly motivated by my love for Kethis, funnily enough. But Yeah, none of the legendary lands would even see play in the deck, so I don't see a reason to bring the whole cycle. Manala's the only one that can do anything cool. It can untap a One Ring and Timeless, untap Emery, untap. I don't know, let your imagination grow wild with that one. Mishra's Factory, this is another pre-modern staple. It'll be the best creature land immediately, which is a good thing, because our creature lands aren't the best, and creature lands often lead to good gameplay. Oboro, the only place I've really seen this see play is in Mill. I've also seen it see play in a Mirror and Safe House combo deck, where you would pay 1 to return Mirror and Safe House to your hand. You would play the Mirror and Safe House. You would tap for a, it's not Lotus Veil, it's like a land that taps for 4 colorless, and then as you attack 2 untapped lands. So that's a color. We don't have that. I did think about adding that card to this list, but it's a reserve list, so no, that's not going to happen. There can maybe be some other combos, say Lotus Field plus Oboro plus Semblance Anvil to reduce the Mirror and Safe House by 2. That would be a combo. That's not going to break the format. That's pretty cool. Again, it would also help out Bill. It also sees play in Merfolk, although I'm not entirely sure why it sees play in Merfolk. It just kind of does. Yeah. Pendelhaven. I think this card will be real nice and timeless, specifically where Bowmasters, it's not quite running amok as much now as it did at the beginning of the format, but still nice to have this counterplay to the 1 Toughness Destroyer. Pillar of the Prunes. I can't really envision a current deck or any deck with a current card pool making good use of this card. Like even the Niv Mizzet decks, you've got a lot of Up the Beanstalks, Leyland Bindings cards that aren't 2 or more colors. But hey, might as well have this as a deck building tool in the toolbox. Quicksand, this is another Maze of Ith Rift. So if you want some land that can deal with attacking creatures, this can deal with a creature 2 or less. You do sacrifice it, but if you're playing a land deck, chances are you're playing something like, I don't know, Ramming Up Excavator, Crucible of Worlds. And if you're looping this, I mean, that's not too toxic, right? Yeah, no, that'll be fine. That'll be fine. Reflecting Pool, again, another card that is not great but necessary for some of these 5-color decks. Not too much to say there. Riftstone Portal. The main place this has seen play is in a Mox Diamond decks where you can discard this, and then all of a sudden your Dark Deaths, your Maze of Iths, etc. all tap for mana. We don't have a Mox. We just don't. So I am curious if this would see play anywhere at all. There's not really too many convenient ways to discard lands from your hand. There's not too many convenient ways to mill yourself in a land stack like cards you'd want to play. I guess you can get lucky with the Surveil, but still, unique card, nice to have. Talon Gates of Madara. This is yet another Maze of Ith style card to tutor. It is a lot weaker than Maze of Ith, but it has other utility. Well, for instance, if you play an Uro, and with the Uro, you put in Talon Gates of Madara. Bam! You get your Uro. It doesn't sacrifice, it gets phased out. If you have a Flage and you have an Elvish Reclaimer, so you're some kind of Naya deck, you play your Flage, you pay 2, sack the Reclaimer to go tutor out Talon Gates of Madara. Bam! You've scammed out a Flage. You even got the ETB as well. You didn't have to sacrifice that because of some Twerp Orb effect. Really cool card, perfectly fine power level. This is one of the cards I want most on Arena. Tectonic Edge, similar to Encroaching Waste. This is just another Wasteland style effect. It's bad, it probably won't see play. Still, you gotta have something. This is the best I could find. Tomb of Arami. So, I don't know where this would see play. It's just really cool. I'll be honest, that's why I added it. Tower of the Magistrate. You may look at this card, you may think it's terrible. Well, if you give a creature protection from artifacts on the turn, that removes all equipment from it. Do equipment see play right now? No. Could they see play in the future? Yeah. And if you're playing Elvish Reclaimer, aren't you glad that you have this as something you can put in your sideboard? Kind of. Or I don't know. I'm just a sucker for these really kind of almost low power, hyper specific, unique lands that you can implement for your toolbox style decks. Treetop Village. This card has seen play in multiple formats. And again, it's a really good creature land. We don't have many good creature lands, so format can benefit. Both formats can benefit from more creature lands. Valakut. This is one of the cards that sees the most play. In terms of enablers, we have Drive of the Elysian Grove. We also have Primeval Titan, so we do have that going on. However, we're missing about half the deck, or half of Amulet Titan, and just normal Red-Green Scapeshift is kind of bad in Modern. So I think it would actually be fine in even Historic, because Historic is rapidly approaching the power level of Modern. And also, it would give you a reason to play a lands deck in Historic, because one of the necessary requirements for playing a land deck is you have a good land. And Valakut is the kind of land that is like, okay, this is pretty good to build around. In Timeless, you already had Field of the Dead. With Historic, you get at least something. And finally, Yavimaya. Good card, has cute synergies with Mana Confluence and some other lands that don't even tap for mana. You play it alongside Dark Depths, possibly. Yeah, that's about all I can think of for that. Well, that was my entire list. This was I'm not going to say a grueling 20 minutes. I do enjoy thinking about this kind of stuff, but if you saw something that I somehow missed, which is actually quite possible, there are many, many lands in the existence. Just, the normal YouTuber spiel, just put it in the comments, like, comment, subscribe, later.